Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of Super Rugby Pacific. This one, the Waratahs at home, taking on the Crusaders. Now, in terms of the overall standings, the Crusaders, I would say, are pretty safe within the top six, but the Waratahs, after the victory from the Hurricanes, they actually boost themselves up into fifth just for now. The Waratahs are on those 22 points, so even with a bonus point win here, it'll be pretty tough for them to make the top six by the end of this round. And also just to mention a couple of the injuries that they've had recently. One in particular, Joseph Suali'i, not going to be playing for the rest of the season for the Waratahs. Massive hit to this backline as he has been one of the stars of this Tars team. So now it's going to be the chance for these other guys to be able to step up. Yeah, they are showing Joey Walton. He's been in 12 defenders throughout his matches, 3 try assists. He's been quite a handy man in the middle of the park. We have got the Crusaders number 1. Says Ange there. Yeah, both sides have made their way onto the field. It will be Paul Williams in charge of this contest. Just a quick look through at this Waratahs team. Andrew Callaway slots into that number 15 jersey rather than out on the wing where he's found himself a few times throughout the season. No Dylan Peach on the starting side, but Darby Lancaster and Tristan Riley will be out on the wings. And then Charlie Gamble, Rob Leota and Lenny Gleeson as the loose forward trio. In terms of this Crusaders side, Tamaiti Williams, Moananu and Sykes Martin are the front rowers to definitely keep an eye on. Definitely Moananu. He's one of those young guys. They've got a very bright future. In the back three, we actually see Johnny McNichol in the 15 jersey. That is due to the injury we saw last week of Will Jordan. Also no Cody Taylor, but a return of Bell off of the bench. But the Waratahs, they have now got themselves the opportunity just outside of their own 22. The ground is amazing condition after last night, says Kiwi Rob. And Tristan Gordon is actually a must-watch player, says Death in there as well. Wait, so are you talking about Jake Gordon or are you talking about Tristan Riley? I assume Tristan Riley. Good old reliable Hamish. You are truly a legend for these. I feel like your sleeps. I feel for your sleep schedule though. Yeah, it's completely broken. We're going to be doing a game at 5 a.m. Between the Stormers and Cardiff. So as soon as this game ends, I'm hoping to go to bed within about an hour or so. Quick sleep for 3 hours, then back up for the next game of the URC. Contestable kick there. Che Fiaki went up for it alongside, I believe it was Darby Lancaster. Neither man really getting a full old grasp on it. That means that it will be a line out to the Waratahs. How do you get on the leaderboard? You'll need to collect experience points. Send live messages, send super stickers, super chat, says Kiwi Rob. And Crusaders all the way, says Drake. Now going back across to the right-hand side. Nice inside ball from Andrew Callaway, although it was very flat to Darby Lancaster. Yeah, Riley, I don't know why I wrote Gordon. Possibly because of Jake Gordon in that 9 jersey. It's been relatively handy and tries to have a bit of a snipe round the side of the breakdown there. Let's go the Tars. Says Kiwi Rob, I actually thought we would win that. They did extremely well, the Highlanders. And like I said, 1 bonus point for them in that game just didn't feel like enough. They did extremely well. I hate this ground style, says Drape. I'll be honest, I tried to look to see whether or not there was a way of turning it off. But it just wasn't. Like, I couldn't find a button for it. So we'll have to work out what we can do. What do you do between streams that are close together? Not a lot, to be honest. Like, I don't really get enough time to do a massive amount. So in terms of between these 2 streams, I made the thumbnail for the Stormers versus Cardiff game. Did a couple overlays for this one. And then managed to get a few overlays for that one as well. And then that's pretty much all the time gone. And then you're straight back into it. Moananu now. You know, throw this ball in. Currently 25 metres out from the line here. Nicely taken at the front for Antonio Shalfoon. They've got Reves Reihana in that number 10 jersey. That is due to the injury we saw of Taha Kamara not too long ago. Cullen Grace goes across. Nice run from Reves Reihana. He's going to be a hard man to catch. Goes on the outside and Johnny McNichol, or McNichol I should say, the Welshman, does manage to score it. And that is quite the statement try off the get-go from the Crusaders, shifting it out wide. Cullen Grace with a good pass to Reves Reihana, who just had way too much space to be able to work with. Is that because of the absence of Suali'i? We see there it was actually Tane Edmed just jogging across, caught in no man's land really, to try and make a tackle on a man who was already being tackled, and it just left a massive hole. Callaway slightly caught out of that fullback jersey too. I'm in at 4 minutes. What time you at? Says Kiwi Rob. Probably about 3.5 minutes, I would say. But I haven't got a clock at the moment. It's because they're showing replays. Is Frank Butler playing? No. Don't believe so. But now, just the 10 seconds remaining here. And I'm going to try YouTube this year. Wish me luck. Maybe streaming as well. Says Kano. Yes, hopefully it does go well for you. I assume you're doing rugby stuff, or are you doing another thing? Like gaming's one that quite a few people try and get into initially. Reves Rehana, they're just showing that pass. It was perfectly timed. Who scored the first try? Johnny McNichol was the try scorer. Some people may not even know that that man was still at the Crusaders. There's going to be a wide margin. Crusaders on a tear lately, says Jonathan. Now nicely taken. I believe that was Quinton Strange just inside. Score prediction for a women's game tomorrow. Not actually too sure if I'm being honest. Like New Zealand looked all right up against Australia. I haven't seen Canada's game up against the USA yet. I know that they won, so yeah, I really don't know how they will match up. Gaming for sure, says Kano. Good morning from sunny South Africa, says Justin. Welcome in. Of course, we are going to be here for that Stormers versus Cardiff game. Great take under the high ball from Che Fiaki. Pops it up for Noah Hotham. Now Reves Rehana looking for a 50-22. Riley having to retreat. Waits for the bounce of the ball. Picks it up and goes across to Tane Edmed. But the Tars are under pressure right from the get-go. Callaway kicks downfield. Doesn't manage to find touch. Johnny McNichol inside ball to Noah Hotham, who manages to break through one. It's eventually dragged down by Gordon. Is Sever playing? He certainly is. Did chase after that kick pretty hard when Reves Rehana put it in behind. And speaking of, Rehana, he's now got the ball again. Goes off to Tamati Williams. Havili tries the grubber. That's what got them in trouble last week and kind of gifted the Chiefs an easy try. This time it hasn't ended up that way though. I am too starting my YouTube channel about mysteries. Try and I try in 1905. So yeah, there's Drape. And also we have got the about Stevie Reese. I think I missed a chat message earlier on. One of the quickest tries this year. Says Jonathan. And Tristan Riley actually reminds me of the werewolf from Teen Wolf. Says Devin. There we go. Says Studs raised there too. 40 metres out from the line now for the Crusaders. Hotham. Back across to the right-hand side. McNichol finds Antonio Shalfoon. Back into the pocket again. Havili will kick it high and cross field. Chance under this one. Knocked on by Che Fiaki. Picked up now by the Tars. Tane Edmed passes on the outside. Step from Darby Lancaster. And Strange got him round the chest. Will Severis score a try or no? He's got a decent chance of being able to do so. But, like, it's the thing. Sometimes the ball just doesn't find the wingers. I mean, we saw last week Scott Barrett, Antonio Shalfoon, and Tom Christie were the three try scorers. But Severis, he had almost an open break there, but he has knocked the ball on. So it does mean now the Waratahs are going to have themselves the scrum fee round halfway. And ain't Crusaders to lose this one, says Shane. Scoreboard is broken, says Kiwi Rob. It often is, to be fair. But yeah, just not quite able to clean that one up there for Reese. Looks like tough conditions, lots of knock-ons coming, says Studs Rays. Potentially. Hopefully not a massive amount, but I think we're going to see probably at least 10. Which I think Crusaders scrum, although Angus Bell, Bote and Pariki, like, not too shabby in a scrum overall, but Tamaiti Williams is supposed to be known for those big pushes. 150 kgs the man weighs, pack weight, an extra 30 kg advantage for the Crusaders. However, there has a Hamish, so with the international starting soon, when a Super Rugby concluding, semi-finals, finals, etc., says Roger. So it's pretty similar to what we're going to see for the URC in terms of the playoff games for Super Rugby, I believe, start the week after the URC one. So URC's late May. Oh, that's a good take from Braden Enor, breaking away. And this will be another try for the Crusaders after 8 minutes. But, yeah, for Super Rugby, I believe the first week of June is the first round. But they are finished by the international window. Are you a Reece big fan? I would say that you are probably a bigger Sevu Reece fan than myself, because I know that you want to see him score a try, and he has been in every single comment so far. So I assume you're a big fan of the man. He's got a massive amount of tries for the Crusaders. Can be very handy in the breakdown, but a good steal from Braden Enor in the end. Got the hand to it. Of course, if that ball had gone down, it could have been probably a penalty for a deliberate knockdown. But because he was able to catch it and regather, it was completely fine. And the Waratahs just making another mistake. I think the unfortunate nature here, and of course we are still early on in this game, so it could just be a case of some early problems, but the difference we're seeing in the Stars side without having Suaalii at the back already is pretty obvious, I guess you could say. But that one's missed away to the side, so that is going to make the score now 12 points to 0. Would you rather face Crusaders or Chiefs at home if you are the Blues? I think you'd go... Well, the thing is, in terms of them playing each other, the Chiefs wouldn't mind it because they've managed to win both of them. But I think that the Chiefs have gone all right up against the Blues this year, haven't they? Did the Blues get beaten by the Crusaders both games? I've got to have a quick look to remind myself in terms of what they've done. So Crusaders beat the Blues by a narrow margin at home. So straight away seeing that one, no matter what happened in those Chiefs-Blues games, I would say like Chiefs beating the Blues by 1 point at home. And then Chiefs beating Crusaders decently and Blues getting beaten by the Chiefs. So honestly, either way, they were close. So I don't think it would bother them too much either way. Like, you probably want to knock out the team that you faced in the finals last year, but then also alongside that, you like to knock out a side that have won the most titles out of anyone. So, yeah, I think it's one of those ones that they won't mind either way. As long as they're in the playoffs, that's a knock-on there from the Waratahs. Hurry up, Tars, and score. I want you to win. Says, no, Mum, of course, because he's my brother. Is he? I did see the last name and wondered whether or not there was some sort of kind of family history there. And we have got there, Sweet Now Harvilli will score 3 and make me look like an idiot, says Shane. And we need a good number 10, says Highlanders fan. Just showing the head coach of the Waratahs won't be happy with the start of this contest, as it has just not quite gone the way that they would have liked. 91% of the scrums won throughout this season for the Crusaders. They've won 13 penalties across those scrums as well. Noah Hotham out to put the ball in. David Harvilli. His position, I believe, directly behind the scrum. And it's gone straight down off a slip, says Paul Williams. Even if the Blues win tomorrow, will we stay? Well, we will stay 6, says Kiwi Rob. Little grubber in behind. Well cleaned up. And that one's going to be into touch. I believe the Blues would actually move back up to the 5th place, though, wouldn't they? Because Hurricanes won, so they're up to 31. And then if the Blues win... Hurricanes are up to 30. And if the Blues win without a bonus point, they will go ahead of the Hurricanes. We have there Stormers can also win by at least 20. Versus Cardiff later today. Stormers have Lubbock back and a much stronger bench, says Jonathan. Who do you want to win? I mean, for the sake of creating a bit more of a gap, I feel like the Crusaders winning would make that top of the table get a little bit more interesting. Just read a G article with the greatest news, says Roger. Now, it's gone backwards for the Crusaders, sitting about 20 metres out from the line with Christian Leo Willie. Only 12-0 up after 12 minutes, so a brilliant start to the match for the Crusaders. One more try and they would already be in a position that could lead to a bonus point. Harvilli, that's just an awful kick. In behind again from Harvilli. I don't know who told him over the last couple of weeks that he should be kicking more, but every time he tries it, it just gives away the possession for the Crusaders. Although they have just said when you're 12-0 up, you can try every once in a while, but just seems to be weighting it all wrong there for Harvilli. But now ready to go for this 22 dropout for the Waratahs. Tony Mead looking to get as much distance on it as possible and nicely taken for The Crusaders about 40 metres out from their line. Christian Leo Willie starts to build up some speed, but tackled by Parecki. Off to the right now. Pop pass up to Johnny McNichol. Another massive gap here. Braden Enor charging forward and couldn't quite link up with a man on his outside. Fiaki plays half. But once again, the Crusaders are on hot attack. Cullen Grace runs it to 12 out. Numbers massively on the left-hand side, but they go to the right. Bounce pass Enor out to Moananu. There's another advantage in play. But now, back off to the left-hand side, and it's dropped by Mighty Williams. They will go back for the initial penalty. Hang on, I'm confused because the Blues have lost 7 games. The Canes have only lost 5. So how does that work? Sorry, save this for halftime, please. I can answer it very quickly. Points is the easiest way of looking at it. So currently the Hurricanes are on 30, and you get 4 points for a win. So 27 plus 4 for the Blues. If they get themselves the win, they move up to 31. They go ahead of the Hurricanes. So it would literally sit the same as it does here if both teams were to get the win. This is before the Hurricanes got their 4, by the way. So they're up to 5th at the moment, but all the Blues need is a win and they go above them. Good scramble defence by the Tars, but can't give those pins away. As awesome as that is, I do want the Crusaders to lose or at least not get the bonus point win, says Kano. It still was in the box before, and they still lost. I'm saying that as a natal fan, says Drape. Okay, thanks, says Kiwi Rob, no worries. So yeah, it could change. Like the Blues could actually end up 2 points ahead of the Hurricanes if they get a bonus point win around the corner. Right, rolling maul is still moving at the moment. Langy Gleeson being told to get out of that one. Moananu hanging on to the centre back. It's rolling really well for the Crusaders. They've got their 3rd try of the match after 15 minutes. And this one is becoming a bit of an onslaught. I just read an article with the greatest news. ABs and Springbok Rugby Unions have come to an agreement to bring a return to the full annual full tours between the two nations starting next year, 2026. Says Roger. Yeah, it's something that people have been asking for quite some time, is those extended kind of test match tour feels that we used to get. And well, I was not joking when I said 95, says Suds Rays, and also beautiful. Thanks, Amish. You look fantastic again. There's Roof. Welcome in, Roof. Hope you're doing extremely well. Moananu just hanging on to this one for the back of that maul that went about 15 metres. The Waratahs just couldn't stop it from creeping forward. And eventually they just rolled it in. The Crusaders did get themselves that try. I've just said that's the 5th time that they have made their way into the 22. They've scored from 3 of them. That one has gone over again. That's now going to make the score 19-0, and cricket score coming up by the looks of things, says Roger. Yeah, it's looking, unless the Waratahs can change this drastically, like this is going to do massive wonders for the Crusaders' points differential too. As you can see there, the Chiefs have the points differential of 136. Oh, it's a big follow through there from Joey Walton. Kick downfield from Che Fiaki. So theoretically, the Crusaders will want to win this game by 56 or more. And at the moment, when they're scoring at a point a minute, it's actually possible. And we're kicking our conversion, says Studs Race. And there's a nice attack and run from Langy Gleeson. Straight onto the ball, though, for the Crusaders. Christian Leo Willie told to get out of it. Back across to the left-hand side, Andrew Callaway trying to sneak his way through the defence, but Cullen Grace makes a tackle, holding his arm a little bit gingerly after making it, though. I just tuned in and I'm at the shopping centre watching Hamish, says Ruth. Back across to the right-hand side, good low shot coming in on Daniel Bota. That will be another penalty. This time going against the Crusaders, not supporting the body weight, the call. Oh, ball is stripped. And they will go back for the initial penalty. I think if you're the Waratahs, there's no option that you can go for other than just going for the corner. No Rugby Championship next year, by the way, Hamish. Here's Kiwi Rob. And come on, folks, please find the like button, hit it hard and subscribe to the Kiwi Lads commentary. Says Ruth. That one is going to be kicked into touch, about 10 metres out from the line now. Waratahs going to have their first real attacking chance of this matchup so far. It has been all the Crusaders, but a couple slightly silly penalties from the Crusaders have now got them attacking from just out from their own line. The hype man at the ground has just said there, let's make some noise and get them over the try line. Charlie Gamble actually had to hesitate there after a bit of a juggle. Jake Gordon going off the short side. Here comes the run from Langy Gleeson. Gordon looking off to this left-hand side, running forward is Angus Bell, and that's very close to the try line. In fact, I believe that might have been over. Referee looking for the grounding, and it's going to be stopped now, but there was already the advantage. Rugby Championship to take place in 2027, 2028, not in 2026, 2028, 2030, says Kiwi Rob. Right, you're just going to be having a look at this one here. On-field decision is no try. And how you doing, Hamish? Hope you're okay. Says Ruth, doing very well. Got a busy weekend coming up. A few more games of the URC. Super Rugby also coming at us tomorrow. And Crusaders are crashing through. Wonderful display. Right. I think that the commentators are saying that is a try. They're saying that they need clear and conclusive evidence that there's the grounding. Angus Bell initially was just short of the try line. Rev Muter looks like he looks to be doing the Macarena. Says Studs Ray. Okay, they're just showing it again. It does look like that would be down on the line. Yes, there's no clear shot of the line with the ball on it, but just in terms of science, that is where the line is. Oh, no. They're going to stay with on-field decision of no try. Langy Gleeson was walking back to halfway. That was a try every day of the week. But like I said, because they didn't have any evidence where they could see past the player on the ground, like, that was on the line. I think everyone knows that. But because they didn't have a clear angle that showed it, they say there was no evidence to be able to overrule the decision. Now, there was already a penalty going against I can't award tries on just a guess, is the comment there from Paul Williams. Okay, so commentators have pretty much said it's a try. We all know it's a try, but there's no evidence that it's a try, so it's a no try. But yeah, Waratahs were already walking back to halfway. And Hamish says, Daniel, welcome in. Scotland feeling this one, says Studs Race. And no time for snoozing, Hamish. Take your coffee, keep awake, or water, says Ruth. And there as well. And stop watching to dish up dinner, boom Saders, says Ash. It's been quite the eventful little period in this contest. Now ready for this line out. Throw again. And 5 meters out from the line with the rolling maul. Not making a huge amount of meters again. One more try. I need my 13 plus safe. Here's Mr. All-in. Jake Gordon goes off to the right-hand side. Short ball from Joey Walton. A big connection between him and Braden Inor. Roster Parecki. So just have to make sure they stay on side here. There's been a couple times where one man's rushed up just a little bit in front of that hindmost foot. Might get them in a little bit of trouble at some point. Again, another tackle made by Christie and Shelfoon. Around the side, slowly building towards the try line here. Another man, he was offside, and there's going to be another penalty advantage. In fact, you could argue that the penalty advantage could have almost been a penalty try. A bit of a fumble there from the Waratahs. Right, I think that they might have a big warning here for the Crusaders. Yellow card territory now, exactly right. They can't afford to keep on giving away these penalties just out from their goal line. But yeah, I think if that player for the Crusaders wasn't offside, Waratahs were very close to scoring that. So they just possibly getting a little bit lucky with that one. We're going to see the replay here. Yeah, you'd have one less guy to have to go through if you're Daniel Bota there. I don't like blaming the refs, but sometimes they don't help themselves, says Kano. And Crusaders are tough dudes. It's amazing because the Waratahs are not an easy bunch to beat. I'm super surprised. I am to a certain extent with how quickly the Crusaders came out, but I do also think that as soon as it was announced that Suoliti was out for the rest of the season, I do think that drastically changes this Waratahs side. And I know that it sounds like you're putting too much pressure on one guy, but when you look at the numbers that he's been putting together throughout the season and the way that he can kind of craft that attack as well as defend, it makes a big difference. They have to be held accountable like players and coaches. So here's Drape. And it looks like the voice box, or look after the voice box, bro. Get your water long weekend. Being the rugby man. Says Shane. And so I let you the beast, says Vapai. So I had a situation with the water on the last live stream. I filled up a big old water bottle, as you can see. It's a 1.5 litre. And I left it over on the bench. So I actually, as much as I wanted water throughout that last one, I didn't have it on me. So I made sure the first thing that I did after that last live stream was bring this over. It's an ugly scrum. About 3 players going down in weird positions. And that is the try. Langy Gleeson bundles over and the Tars starting their comeback here, which has to be the first of many tries that they are able to score throughout this contest. But a very nice one for Langy Gleeson. He's deserved a try. He's looked dangerous throughout the start of this one. Shane Waratah's talisman is injured, says Ruth. But yeah, that scrum just got turned inside out. Waratahs players all pretty much rotated completely. Bonus point lost. Just for now it is, yes. And let's go the Tars, says Kano. And they're just going to show the replay. That one's got a grounding over the line. Gleeson, he was close to scoring not too long ago, but he has now got himself that try. So then 23 minutes in, and Tars working hard for that, says Studs Rays. Yeah, like, it was just persistent attack, wasn't it? They didn't really go too crazy in terms of what they were trying. They were just going big forwards round the side. And because the Crusaders did get a little bit ill-disciplined, it meant that they could afford to just keep on going and going, because eventually the Crusaders were going to give away the advantage. I watched the league and I'm listening to you, says Kiwi Rob. And quite the fight for the playoff spots, both in the Super Rugby and the URC, says Sebastian. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. In about, I believe, 12 hours' time, we're going to have a lot of the URC confirmed in terms of who can still have half a chance. But then also, there's going to be a lot that's still uncertain in terms of the quarterfinals. All I know is if the Stormers win up against Cardiff, it means that the Stormers are in the top 8 and they will be playing either the Sharks or Glasgow. Or if Cardiff win, then that completely turns it on its head. Benetton versus Munster, only one of those sides could go through. Maybe Edinburgh sneak in if they can beat Ulster by a good margin. There's a lot that's going to happen in the next few hours of the URC, and that is always very exciting. But 24 minutes into this game has started at quite the pace. Cullen Grace, good attack and run forward. The Crusaders already crossing the try line 3 times. Amharst have to beat Benetton, and they're pretty much secured. Says Sebastian. That's a big ask, isn't it? After the way that Benetton played last week up against Glasgow, like, it's going to be hard to do. So that's, yeah, it's just that little extra element, isn't it? And at the end of the day, if Edinburgh lose and Cardiff lose, top 8's confirmed no matter what. But before we get, or in fact, no, not quite before we get to that stage, because they overlap Munster and Benetton playing at the same time as Edinburgh and Ulster. Like, we'll know roughly how many teams can sneak into the top 8. So it's more so whether or not Edinburgh can creep in, which I think they almost will. Ulster, don't get me wrong, they've been all right this year, but I just wonder whether or not this game might be the one that they let kind of slip away. And then there's a few other games that aren't as relevant for the top 8, but we might end up still doing 1 or 2 of them. Going to be thrown in now by Moananu. Nice steal. And now Darby Lancaster running forward for the Waratahs. They are 25 metres out from the line. Man wasn't at URC quarterfinals last month. How many finals do they have? It was not. It was Champions Cup quarterfinals that were taking place. 2 separate competitions, but they do involve some of the same sides. Jake Gordon rolling this one back. We'll kick it high. This one's not able to go out on the full. Jay Fiaki knocks it on. It's going to be another advantage in favour of the Waratahs. Gordon going for the kick from behind. trying to work the angle, but it does go back infield with the bounce. Johnny McNichol kicks it in behind, chasing after this one, just 5 metres out from the try line. Ed Med goes across to Andrew Callaway, who was under pressure, and he puts it out 25 metres out from their line. Barring Leinster, all the Irish teams have underperformed, in my opinion, and even Leinster ended up missing out on silverware. See Sebastian. Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff going on in Irish rugby at the moment. Of course, the 7 side of things got taken away. And there are quite a few people who are saying, well, you know, you're paying Rico Ioane all this money to come over, which could have saved the Sevens program for a few years. But, yeah, it's an interesting one. Oh, that looked a bit high from Dave Parecki. Not quite getting it right in terms of the tackle height there. But now, going back across to the right-hand side. Chance here for Johnny McNichol. Almost makes it through. Yes, he does. Great pass on the outside. And it was a bit too easy for Jay Fiaki to run that one in. As much as the Rebels disbanded sucks, the Aussie teams look much better this year. What stadium is this? The seating colours are amazing. So it is Allianz Stadium in Waratahs territory, New South Wales. And we have got there, okay, then, sorry, my bad, you know, how much I love the North game. Yeah, it can get confusing because, you know, you would have seen a couple of the URC team names in those matches. Yeah, Johnny McNichol, him and Che Fiaki are working together very nicely at the moment. Now, another chance here. Add the extra 2. It's going to be a kick for Reves Reihana, relatively close to the sideline here. Sitting 2 from 3 today. The probability of this one going over is just under 50%. And tell you what, he struck it extremely well. Never looked like missing. And that'll make the score now 26 points to 7. And it's understandable, though, because it's such a small country with a small population, so it's difficult to maintain all sports. Keep in mind that football and Gaelic football dominate. See, Sebastian, you know, it is a shame because I do think that the way that they've done the 7 circuit, Ireland aren't going to be the only team that pull out. You know, you look at someone like a Samoa who had the chance of getting promoted to the 7 circuit back on the World Championship, and now they're in Tier 3. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to pull the pin on their 7s, or at least maybe take away some of that funding. Germany, they were a side that said if they hadn't been promoted to 2, at least, like, they were probably going to have to disband because they just lost their sponsors. So, yeah, it's a tricky one. But the 7s, the way that they've changed it just seems to be that there's less money around and more teams struggling and less supporters. What happened to Kenya? Kenya did make it onto Division 2, but they should have been in the top league again with 16 teams just because that's the easy way to do it, and it worked. But they decided to switch it. And thank you, Hamish. Who do you think will be the starting AB number 10, says Jimbo. Thank you very much for your donation, of course, Jimbo. I would say, for me, it's all down to combinations. And I think that they tried to build it a little bit last year. I think it will be Roygaard and Bowden Barrett, and then Ratama and McKenzie as the 2 starting combos that they just rotate between. That at least is what I think they'll stick with. In terms of what I would do, I'm a bit indecisive at the moment just because there's a few guys playing well. Like McKenzie's having a brilliant season for the Chiefs. Even in the games that he was absent, you could just see the difference when he came back in terms of what they've done, who else scored. So far we've seen Che Fiaki score, we've seen Johnny McNichol score, we've seen Moa Nanu score, and we saw Braden Enos score. So no try for Severis yet, but he's certainly trying. Yeah, losing to Germany was the it for me in Samoa 7s. Yeah, it's a tricky one because the fact that you no longer are in the Challenger Series and you're way down, Tier 3 is pretty much what it is. And, so best case scenario, you get promoted twice and you move up, in 2 years' time. At that stage, you're going to be struggling to qualify for the Olympics it just, yeah, it can be bad. Looks like a bit of an injury here for Quinton Strange. Looks like he's struggling to get back up to his feet just for now. Also a bit of an injury maybe for Rob Leota. But yeah, he is still down, Quinton Strange. I thought that he was about to get back up. And we have get there. Oh no, that one's the who else scored. And from the sideline, Crusaders, you're making me believe again, says Studs Race. And Barrett will start against France, says Shane. Starting in all 3 games though, or are you giving Mackenzie 1 start? Do you think New Zealand Rugby stays with the men's 7s worth the investment? Well, that's the thing. Like, you know, they had a $17 million loss. And you can't, like, that's not sustainable in the long run, unless you get some, of course, big sponsors and whatnot. But, like, it's just tricky. Remember there why you keep talking about Reece? What, are you jealous of him? No, you're literally his brother. So when you asked who scored the tries, I told you everyone who had, except, and I said, unfortunately, no try for Sever Reece yet, because you're his brother. So I thought you may want to know that, you know, because you're like related to him and asked about him like 7 times. But now, ready for the scrum that's gone down in the front. Mackenzie will start in Hamilton for sure, and he better. I'm going to the game, says Kano. Not bragging, the Germans, they played awesome. Yeah, they looked extremely strong in their game and thoroughly deserved the promotion that they managed to get. And now going for the scrum again here. Chance for Noah Hotham. Paul Williams just trying to get a little bit of control over these scrums. Looks like they are just not quite getting them right just as of yet. Although there haven't really been too many scrum penalties across these 2 sides. Any news on Will Jordan? All I've heard so far is Will be back before the end of the season by the looks of it. But I believe still going to miss a couple more weeks. So probably playoff rugby is when we'll see him back. But he's not out for the season or anything like that by the sounds of the first initial information. Typing while drunk and jet lagged, hence spelling mistakes, says Jimbo. Whereabouts have you come from, Jimbo, for your jet lag? I assume that would be a relatively long one. We have got there, sorry, we're sending it to one of the haters. I don't know that I sent it to you, says Benamaya. And Bella's one hell of a prop, says Studs Race. And thanks, bro, missing the lad. He's a scoring machine, says for Pie. And we have got there, why would anyone be jealous of Sever Reece? I mean, to be fair, he's right up there in terms of top try scorers of Super Rugby of all time. I don't hate D-Mac. He's the best goal kicker, but but can he save a failing AB's backline? Well, that's the thing. Like, Bowden, Barrett, and Mackenzie got a lot of stick last year. But I don't think that they were the be-all, end-all of the problems in the All Blacks backline. I think that Barrett and Ioane as the midfield definitely did not help. And I mean, Barrett's gone overseas and really done well. Rico's working on it, but he's still not quite there. Nice pass out wide from Reece. Massive amount of space here for Johnny McNichol, who kicks it in high. Nice run into him from Callaway to knock him over and get him out of the chase. Edmed with the pass across. It's going to be knocked on by Hotham. Looks a little bit scrappy, and we play on for now, but now going back for this scrum again. Already 33 minutes through in this contest. He's no Waisaki Naholo after all. Question, was that a shoulder charge on McNichol? It was certainly a late shot. I'll give you that. We're going to see the replay here. Yeah, I mean, he changed his line. There was no denying it. We kind of said it at the time that he cut him off and stopped him from going through. It must be a scorch in Sydney today because the Waratahs are cooked. We're going to see it. Okay, they've pretty much said that Callaway, that looks worse from the behind angle, to be fair. So he's probably quite lucky that they didn't decide to look at it too much, because they're saying about how he's allowed to keep his line, but he's not allowed to change direction. But he had time to pull out of that. Areko better not get into the ABs this year, I swear to God. CSKNO looks like Rob Leota's actually going to make his way from the field. Now, he looked like he was having a few injury troubles just a little bit earlier on, so Sinclair will make his way on. That is going to be for Rob Leota. Another scrum, Jake Gordon. Getting ready to feed this ball in. Now, back across to the left-hand side. Tane Edmed, skip pass. Goes over the top to Darby Lancaster. Good tackle made again by the Crusaders on the halfway line. Back from Hungary. Catching up with Farnow and mates for 5 days, says Jimbo. So hopefully you did enjoy it. Be a relatively long flight, wouldn't it? I wonder if Jordan should get rest against French first in the second test. And our horse in this race, Hamish just here for the soothing tones, says Christopher. And of course, we are going to be back in only around 7 hours' time. In fact, less than that, about 6.5. And that is for the game between the Stormers and Cardiff. We've got plenty more of the URC and Super Rugby coming up in this weekend. And can't you surf, says Benamaya. And also, Vunibaka, the real Fijian wing king, says right now ball for the Waratahs on the halfway line. Bell goes back across to Callaway. Ref making sure the Crusaders don't get in there. Rush defence from Harvili. Was up relatively early. Peach now on the outside. In fact, this time it's Tristan Riley. Back to the left again. Another good tackle. Another low tackle again from the Crusaders. That seems to be the tactic at the moment. One guy goes low, the second man goes in and tries to get that steal. Sometimes they just rush up that little bit too fast. Now trying to get the step in again. Waratahs 45 metres out from their own line. Ball was out, so the Crusaders, if they were a little bit quicker, could have had a bit of a crack at it. To 7 phases in a row, and it does look like now they're thinking about going for the kick. Don't know. Have you seen Rassie's initial camp squad, Hamish? South Africa really has scary depth. Says Roger, yeah, I saw he got a guy in there from the Varsity Cup who hasn't played a professional game of rugby, which is a very interesting choice, but I guess trying to get him in the environment early. I also see Vincent Chichuka, the Democratic of Congo-born loose forward who has just been tearing it up, and I'm glad he's finally got his residency to be able to get selected, because honestly I think he will be in that Springbok side eventually. Now, trying to go towards the sideline there, ball on the inside to Moananu. A one test on the wing to save his career. He deserves that. Guy's a beast and done heaps. Just out of position, Rico, says Shane. And Scrapey play forwards look stuffed. To be fair, they've been going pretty quickly in this game. We've already seen 5 tries. And yes, we've had the occasional scrum, but yeah, both sides playing at a flat-out kind of tempo. Look like 2 players staying down there for the Crusaders, maybe? In fact, no, it's a bit of push and shove. Looks like it's all kicking off on the far side of the field. Players still going back and forth, and the Waratahs making the most of it, while about 3 Crusaders are trying to break up a fight there, trying to find a way through. And that is now going to be the knock-on advantage for the Crusaders. Going short side Hotham. That's a poor pass. Zero Reese, brother. You really need to get your brother to invest some of his rugby money into getting you lessons. There's Jason. Yes, still a bit of push and shove. It's gone all the way to the sideline. Reese and Shalfoon in the middle of it. Shalfoon having a chat with Amato Serra. I don't know what's happened here that's made these guys kick on for as long as they have. But it was probably a good minute and a half that they were sitting there trying to push each other. And we have got who scored the try so far. So for the Waratahs, we saw Langy Gleeson. For the Crusaders, we saw the tries coming from Moananu. We saw Braden Enor, Che Fiaki, and Johnny McNichol. Right, time is off. Okay, so referee Paul Williams has pretty much said there's a scuffle there, there's a scuffle there. If we see any more of that, it's going to get upgraded. to something more than just a scrum at the moment. But I want to know what started it on the far side for Chalfoun. In fact, that was the fight on the near side that started. Okay, so I think it was Sever Reese. He tried to kick it and then he was dropped by Tristan Riley. And then Sever Reese grabbed him by the back of his hair, tried to almost get on him like he was a horse and give him a bit of a ride. And Amata Sero's going, don't touch me, to Chalfoun, and that was the back and forth between those two. And someone mentioned someone's mum. That's what usually kicks it off at the local pub. And so unnecessary, Jason, no need for that here, says Kano. And a very good evening, Hamish from Brisbane. How's it, says James, welcome in. But now, looks like it is going to be another scrum reset. I must admit, I think Cruz started at handbags. Yeah, I don't know what it was on the far side. That one there, it looked like it was more so just like Tristan Riley drove through his tackle because he thought Reese had the ball. And then Reese had dropped it at that point, so it wasn't in his hands. And then Chalfoun came in. But I want to know what the far side was about because they had like 4 players trying to stop it. So I don't know who was in that one. Now 30 seconds remaining. Ready to put this ball in now. Now back across. David Harvili. Skip pass out to Johnny McNichol. Now Jay Fiaki. A lot of space again. Enor was calling for the kick. But in the end, Fiaki decides to hang on to it. Probably the smart move there. The Crusaders are now set. Harvili looking for the skip pass out wide. Sykes Martin going across to Williams. That's a beautiful pass for a prop. And now they've got the penalty advantage. Jason, you misspelled understand. Just saying, says Shane to Mighty Williams with the skip pass. Yeah, it was a thing of beauty, wasn't it? Now, Reves Rehani, or Rehana, I should say, passes on the outside to Johnny McNichol, pops it up to Che Fiaki again. Havili, across to Tom Christie, going out to the wing. Cullen Grace now pops it out wide to Sever Reese, cutting back in, beautiful pop pass, up to Mighty Williams, 10 metres out from the line now. Now Noah Otham, within 10 metres here for the Crusaders. I believe they are still under penalty advantage. Quinton Strange makes a couple more pick and go from Reese. Gets within 2. Christie off to the left-hand side again. Now around the side, that's even closer there for the Crusaders. And that's over. Cullen Grace cuts underneath the referee to score the try. He sits down Paul Williams. But he gets it this time. Look at there. No run out of letters. Actually have a try, Einstein. Okay, so there might have been a misunderstanding on understand, but the capital letters and commas and whatnot are certainly going astray. And around the side there, very close to the try line there for the Crusaders. And yeah, unfortunately for Paul Williams, he's actually done very well to hurdle that because he all but got cleaned up. I think they're just checking in the breakdown yet. No knock on coming from Reese there. And Cullen Grace driving over. There will be 5 to 10 flat out rugby there. And skills by Crusaders to cart the ball up in these conditions. And we're all guilty of broken England, okay. Jay was pointing out a valid point. Ben, we love you, brother. Says Drape. That one's missed away to the side for Reves Rehana, but that will be half time. And the score sitting 31 points to 7. Now, it has got them 33 on the board, but that is incorrect. They have only got the 31 points after that missed kick from Rehana, but it has been a pretty high-scoring one at this point in time. And I don't see the second half being any different. The points differential, Crusaders have currently got the bonus point. After there, Jason, you could find your way to the try line if I set you up some cheese. Give me my rudeness, says Drape. And there as well. But second half, I think, will be just as action-packed, like I mentioned, looking at the benches for these two sides. Some great players still to come. We did see the change made. Hugh Sinclair made his way onto the field. That was for Rob Leota. Did have to make his way off due to a bit of an injury. They've got Lalakai Fekete as a back replacement. They can look at Dallas McLeod, James O'Connor and Preston as the replacements for the Crusaders. And the return of George Bell, after quite a long layoff, does find himself back into the Crusaders lineup. Also, Taniela Tupou, and that number 18 jersey, one to watch out for, will be coming on for Daniel Bota later on. And the match as well for the Waratahs in terms of what they've got coming up. They have got their game up against the Western Force next week. Then they have got their game up against the Blues. And then they'll have to wait and see whether or not they do make their way through to the next stage of the competition. In terms of this Crusaders side, they've got the Highlanders, and then they've got the Crusaders, they've got the Brumbies as their final match. If they can get a win here, pull off a win up against the Highlanders, going into that last match up against the Brumbies, that will more than likely determine who actually will book themselves their next spot in terms of the overall home and away playoffs. What bicycle shop would you go to in Oamaru if you need a new tyre? No idea what the bicycle shops are, if I'm being honest. We have got there, are they so bad, says Highlanders fan? Is Cullen Grayson AB's contingent? I would probably have him relatively up there. He's had a great season for the Crusaders. I do think that in that 6 jersey as well, there's a bit of an opportunity to be able to grab it, because at the moment they got probably Satiti and Finau, I would say, are the two that they'll look at in 6. So, I think there's half a shot. We have got there, who remembers Richie Band's try against the ABs in 2003? If not, check the clip on YouTube. New Zealand commentary makes it such a spectacle to watch over and over again. And we have got there, when are we going to get the Razor interview, Hamish? Tell them to tap in with the lads. I don't think they'd do it. I think that as a AB's coach, you're kind of only allowed to talk to the kind of the big broadcasters, as well as like the confirmed ones that they allow for media access. I believe Grant Nisbet can make any video good with his commentating, says Kano. And one thing I had about the Hurricanes is that they never take Royard off. It's the only team who doesn't. But then at the end of the day, like, that was the reason that they got that last try, was Royard went round the side. We have good there, bro. You do good commentary, but I think you're 2 minutes behind. If you have live TV, please show it in Canada. We just see live updates in Bet365. So for me, I'm watching on Sky Sport Now in New Zealand. The reason I'm doing that is so that I can watch it through my PC rather than through like a TV. So there is about a 30 to 60 second delay just from watching on Sky Sport Now compared to real time. And then there's also that delay of YouTube of about 15 seconds. So that's probably where the times kind of come from. Just showing that ball movement. Which centre candle shop would you go to in Oamaru? Asking for a friend, says Christopher. Do they have candle shops in Oamaru? That's probably a good question to start with. Warehouse have a few candles from what I know of. So that could be your option. Who else scored? So far in this game, we have seen the tries of Moananu. We saw Che Fiaki. We saw Johnny McNichol, Braden Enor, and Cullen Grace. So those are the 5 that we have seen score. And then for the Waratahs, we've seen the 1 try coming from Langy Gleeson. Crusaders going to drop 60. There's a Highlanders fan. You're doing good, says Douglas. Thank you very much. Now just showing Johnny McNichol, 1 try assist, 11 carries, 107 carry meters. He's been on fire since returning. Which lolly shop would you go to in Oamaru? Once again, I don't even know if they have a lolly shop. So you just go to the warehouse. They have lollies. They're not the best, but they'll do. I'm in Oamaru. Soon looking to buy some lace dollies. Doilies, what are they? But second half, I would say, is not an absolute mile away from taking place. So do let me know your in-score predictions here, ladies and gents. Langy Gleeson getting a lot of praise from his teammates. Rainbow Confectionery, obviously. I think they just sell those ones at the warehouse too, don't they? And probably cheaper from the factory, but you find them most places. Which shop sells crotchless pants there, says Drape. My shop that I own. No. Probably the Warehouse. You can cut them out yourself with some scissors. The Warehouse have a lot of things. Random items that I'm sure people will find a use for. And we have got there TARS 7, Crusaders 95. Prediction there from Thuds Race, so that would be extremely impressive. Now, I should mention about the remaining games that we've got in this competition. A little bit of a confusing layout because there's actually the gap in between. But the Crusaders, like I said, next week they will be playing up against the Highlanders, Reds and the Hurricanes. They are going head-to-head on Friday night next week. Chiefs versus Moana Pacifica and the Force versus the Waratahs. They are all the games that are taking place. In terms of the week after, Highlanders taking on the Chiefs, Brumbies versus Crusaders, Blues versus the Waratahs, Hurricanes, Moana Pacifica, and then the Reds taking on the Fijian Drawer. So those are all the games remaining. It's not many. You know, we've got to the stage of the comp how after this round there will only be 9 more matches, which is 9 more opportunities for sides to gain points and also lose them. Well, you can't lose them, but you lose the opportunity to get them, which is what could happen for some of these sides. This is the way that the table sat at the start of the round. So since then, we've seen the Hurricanes move up to 30 points. They are sitting in 5th with the Blues dropping to 6th. The TARS, they're in that position of 8th. Could be a bit of a struggle for them to be able to gain more, definitely with the absence of Joseph Suali'i. Crusaders, if they win this game with a bonus point, they move to 1st in the overall standings, and then they would have played the same amount of games as the Chiefs at that point in time. Over there, what is this Warehouse? It's pretty much like a Kmart or a Target or a Walmart, I guess you could say. It's pretty much like the New Zealand equivalent of those type of things. Lady Boys Big and Oamaru, not that I know of, but I haven't really investigated it, to be fair. I remember the semi where South Africa just fell short of 100, says Ash. And we have got their Warehouse gone freaky mode, says Drape. They are just showing penalties conceded 4 against the Crusaders. There was a little patch there where it was quite a concern with the amount of penalties that they were given away. Well, we'll go like this. We'll check what the odds of a comeback are for next half and see whether or not the Waratahs are at all given any sort of chance. Don't be wrong. It's going to be extremely tough. And where does O'Connor come in? Do you reckon? Or when does he come in? Yeah, I think, to be honest, Reves Rehan is looking pretty handy at this current point in time. So I wouldn't shy away from, like, it's possibly a risky one because, of course, you don't want to have any injuries. But I'll keep Reves Rehan out there for at least 60. I think that if the role that they're looking to have O'Connor play is to come off the bench throughout some more of the playoff games and the later matches, you've got to give Reves Rehan plenty of time and confidence. There's Victor Nelson across from Noel Leeming and Oamaru. And then the Oamaru Mail and Hub. And Sprocket cycles. Well, we'll go like this. We'll go like that as well. And you obviously won the prize as the best YouTube commenter. Well done. Says Christopher. And there you go again, Jason, taking it to the extreme. Says Drape. Yeah, some people like to really crank it up, don't they? And Jason is certainly one of them. So we've got 2 minutes till the start of the second half. People getting restless. They want to see go like this. There we go. We have sorted out George. That is who I was messaging, as well as getting the odds for this one. A little bit of multitasking ladies and gents. Not very good at it at times, but it's at least worked out in this regard. So in terms of the odds for this one, the Waratahs are $26 underdogs, as you would expect. And Crusaders will get 50 plus, says Ursula. Yeah. Maybe 50 plus win margin might be a bit tough to do. Although at the moment they're looking very strong. But 50 points in total, I think they'll be able to bring it up relatively confident that they'll do it. They only need 3 more tries, 2 of which converted. So, yeah, they've got a decent chance. It's good to know the prize is a blinding purple pill. There's Christopher. It was 96-17. It was 11th of May 2002. It was not a semi-final. It was round 12. And if you're in town till 8 p.m., you get a meal at Lockie's Food Trailer at Repco Car Park. The nights they are there. Meal at Lockie's Food Trailer. The Repco, I don't even know where Repco is in Oamaru. Where is Repco? There's one that's like near a dentist, is it? Maybe. I think I drove past it like a week ago. Then there's like or maybe not a dentist, sorry, but there's like an area that's empty. And it says there's like a truck or a taco or something. Maybe. Honestly, I'm just half by making it up. I think that's roughly right, though. Hopefully you'll be able to help me out. Who would be your 3 halfbacks? I think this year I'd go Roigard, Ratima, and Hotham. At the moment, based off form. Which some people would disagree with, and that's fine, because I'm probably wrong. But they're not doing badly, those 3 overall, I wouldn't say. And like Hotham's been playing well enough for the Crusaders to probably have earned his spot. Whakatava, he's a tricky one for me because if he's the only Highlander, with the exception of maybe Ethan de Groot and maybe Timothy Tavatavanawa that makes the team, you probably don't have much cohesion with a few of those other guys in the squad. So that's where the trickiness of Whakatava comes into it. But yeah, second half, I would say, hopefully, is going to be high scoring. So do let me know, ladies and gents, how many points, in fact, how many tries will we see in the second half? I don't understand it. I also have 75 XP. Yeah, I'm rated 14th. I have no pill. Yeah, I have no idea how it works either, if I'm completely honest. I don't even know when it came in. I assume it wasn't there last week when we did our last live stream. I thought Tangital would make it, but he's played not enough games. Yeah, unfortunately for him, just having that injury that kept him out for a while. We have got there. Well, let's all move to Oamaru. Can wear antique clothes and actually be trendy, aka steampunk? Says Jason. Repco is north door to Noel Leeming Oamaru. Did you go to have a look at Whitestone Contracting Centennial Park? I didn't, no. No, I went to the warehouse in KFC. So that was pretty basic from myself. It's a feature that is going to make chat very competitive. It is, but I also feel like, what's the difference between, like, if you spam, do you get, like, heaps of XP? So is that going to encourage more people to just write random messages rather than, like, their normal ones? Any other rugby scores thus far? Just the one game took place earlier on. Hurricanes versus Highlanders, 24 points to 20 in favour of the Canes. Waratahs should get on the bus and go home now. There's no point in finishing, says Pro Pleb. Come on. We'll go like that as well. They have been told to use it. Like I said, 20... Is it still 26? Yes, it is. Still $26 at the moment in terms of that underdog status for the Tars. We have I was the Oamaru tennis champ 22 years ago. Go the Crusaders. Says I see you. My mum was you might have played, unless maybe they didn't do the mixed ones, but my mum was a women's champions where we live. So she might have played in the same competition as you. I don't know how many years ago that was, but I think it would have been at least maybe 30. Hamish, sorry, missing some videos, but it's springtime and work is jamming. Says Robert, little kick him behind, attempted there from the Tars, but it is great to have you here still, Robert. And it's going to be a 5-metre line out now for the Crusaders, just out from their own line. Just checking, but are there any Wallabies playing for the Waratahs today? They've got Andrew Kellaway in their lineup. They have got, I think Darby Lancaster got the call up to the Aussies not too long, or like last season, I think. Angus Bell's there. They had Rob Leota up until his injury. Langy Gleeson, Jake Gordon, Tane Edmed, all these guys that have had slight chances. Now only 5 metres out from their own line here for the Crusaders. Looks like now Hotham will be able to get this one back. I think 18's just being told to get onside. That is Taniela Tupou, so they've already made that change of him for Botha. One does go into touch, and it will be about 25 metres out now for the Waratahs to have the throw. Dave Parecki now with the line out. If you're the Waratahs here, of course, the first step that you want to do is take away that bonus point from the Crusaders. Slowly work your way back into the contest. If they do get themselves a bonus point of their own for being within 7, it would be absolutely massive for their season. And we have got there that list of Wallabies, and this score doesn't bode well for the Lions tour, says Christopher. Although some of those guys that I did list probably won't make the Lions again, or sorry, make the Wallabies again for a little while. Some haven't been in the best form throughout this season. Now, ball is there for Gordon to go back off to the left-hand side. Joey Walton across to Edmed Gamble. Is that Bruce Rehana's relative? I'm not too sure. But yeah, I'd assume it's not the most common name, so maybe it'd be some sort of relation there. I'm a little concerned. Crusaders getting tired. And the thing is, when they get tired, they start to concede penalties. And we're seeing that again here. Just a couple too many going against them. Tane Edmed kicks that ball into touch. And just trying to jump over, I think it was to Mighty Williams in off his feet. So many relatives tonight. And anyone know who's coaching the Anzac team against the Lions? I believe it's Ian Foster, isn't it? Or Steve Hansen. One of those two, I believe, has got the call to be the man in charge. Jake Gordon. Oh, that's a good tackle from Mighty Williams. Spun him around, but the ball is still on the side of the Waratahs. Another pick and go this time from Taniela Tupou. Have to try and get out of that breakdown, the Crusaders, although the referee does say that it is available to use. Angus Bell has a bit of a slip. Now Gleeson told to use it again. We'll go off to the left-hand side. Tackled by Tom Christie. I'm related to raise a true story. Says Drape there. And ball is there again at the back. Hugh Sinclair, pick and go. Came onto the field in the first half for Rob Leota. Back across Parecki again. Now very close to the try line at the moment, but the Tars, they're having all these early chances. They have to make sure they capitalise. Taniela Tupou held up again, just short of the line. Gleeson gets over for his second try. And that's the start to the half that they needed. I'm related to my family, says Jason there. And up the Sumner Wave. And how far are you from Paul Street? The next round of the street sprints are in Paul and Victoria Terrace. Terrace probably like a, 5-minute drive, maybe less than that. How am I second, says Highlanders fan. Going off to the left-hand side for Taniela Tupou. Just lured in too many defenders for the Crusaders. And then Reves Rehana having to defend against about 3 men on this near side. Gleeson way better than plotter Harry Wilson, says Annoy. Now, in that replay, it did actually look like Fergus Lee Warner. Not to be critical, but he was in front of Gleeson at the time that he scored it, which you could argue was obstruction. But I don't think you can take that try away because I don't think they would have stopped Langy Gleeson anyway. That kick has gone over. Do you think D-Mac or Bowden Barrett will start for the ABs? I think it depends on the game. And I think it depends on the 9 as well. We have got there, I'm probably related to Genghis Khan. And also we have got there, he was sneakily offside. Yeah, he didn't really mean to be, I don't think. He just kind of didn't have time to get out of there. And that little car painted up like an NYPD car. What lap time would that get? No idea. I don't really know cars, if I'm being honest. Now Cullen Grace picking up this ball to the right-hand side here. Johnny McNichol trying to flick that one on. Goes to Tom Christie. Looked a little bit forward out of the hand. Not related to Razor. Not number one anymore, says Drape. Now back across to the left-hand side. 25 metres out from the try line here. Oh, low tackle from the Tars. They have to try and stop the Crusaders from scoring again here. As if the Tars are the next team to score, that actually takes away that bonus point as it currently sits for the Crusaders. Reveza Rehana trying to go through. I'll hoth them up to 7 phases in a row. Quinton Strange. Tackled by Parecki. Across Tom Christie. Hotham. Just not really going anywhere, but now the grubber attempt. It goes behind Jay Fiaki. Tried to kick it forward, and Gordon in the end knocks it into touch. Could be a knock on, it could be a line out. They will have either option for the Crusaders here. Once again, there'll be that little bit of frustration from the Waratahs. They've had many chances to get things going. And then they have just gone slightly wrong. Now, that one's going to go over the top. Charlie Gamble can't get it, but it's not straight from the Crusaders, so the Waratahs will get themselves the free kick. Have you seen that little car? They sent it in Paul Street the first round. It's not George's. Nah, George doesn't have that car. I've seen a cop car parked on, or like an old school cop car parked on that side of the town, but I'm not sure whose it is. I think Crusaders will win the comp still, says Highlanders fan. But now Joe Schmidt watching on. Omaru has the reddest red light on any traffic lights I've stopped at. Says Jason, that pitch is like a suburban mudfest, says Annoy. I think they said it was a decent day in New South Wales, if I'm correct. That one wasn't straight either. And somehow they've got away with it there, the Crusaders, so it will be play on. Big tackle on Christian Leo Willie. It would be good to see the Brumbies win. There's Islanders fan. Is that up against the Reds or just Super Rugby in general? The contest is over. Now Noah Hotham going for the box kick again. Now Edmund across to Daniel Tupou around the halfway line with a penalty advantage in favour of the Waratahs Super Rugby. It would be impressive for the Brumbies, and they've certainly got the capabilities of doing that if they're at home for their games. I think that if they're away from home, they might struggle a little bit. All right, it's going to be another penalty going the way of the Waratahs. 30 minutes left. Tars are back in this now. Akru's got to tie them up, I reckon. Now, Edmed, you actually snuck a little bit further ahead than the mark there, so he's done a strategic extra 5 metres or so. And Tars back in this now. Says Studs Rays. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of effort. 31 points to 14. At the moment, the way that it does sit, it's just going to be one of those ones where it's either going to go right or wrong for the Tars, but they have to make sure they don't concede those little silly penalties that the Crusaders are. We've got there a big donation from Xavier. Thank you very much. We've got there, you should check out, I assume that's Egg Chaser's rugby video. He does the Southern Hemisphere Lions and called us the Southern Wind Dogs. We need it to happen. It'd be insane. What's your starting 15 for a Southern Hemisphere Lions team? I also love the work. As always, says Xavier Brown. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. 15. It's a tricky one. I think that front row-wise... In fact, we'll wait for a stoppage because the Waratahs look like they're about to score, which I think they are your team as well, if I'm not wrong. So you probably do want to see them get over. Going off to the right-hand side, and now they're going back for the penalty. But front row, you're probably having at least one Springbok in there. Oxenshire, number 1. So I'll go with 2's tricky because, like, based off current form, you wouldn't say Cody Taylor is the best, but based off last year's Rugby Championship, you'd say he'd do very well. Wild rather than Wind. Yeah, so number 2, you could look at Marks or Umbanambi if you want a bit of consistency. 3, Malharba has been far from his best lately, so you probably look at maybe Lomax, or if they want a bit of size, they could go Tupou just to get an Aussie in there too. It's like, James O'Connor almost got hit by something as he made his way onto the field. It was one of the players throwing something though, so I don't think it was any sort of ill intent behind it. The locks, depends on who your captain is, but if Etzebeth's fit, you'd put him at 4. And then, I don't know who you go with at 5. Geez, Hamish, load up on clearance, All Blacks kit with that coin. Says Jason, started the season as a Waratah, fell in love with the Reds, so now a Reds fan after going to 2 Reds games. Are the Reds, like, in terms of location, closer to you, Xavier, than the Waratahs are? Because I know you're a Melbourne boy, but I don't really know the locations in terms of flights and whatnot. Joey Walton gets that a little bit closer. Now currently sitting about 5 metres out from the line. I think loose forward trio, you go on Peter Steph, you go on Savia, and then maybe you'd actually go Satiti? Maybe? And just don't stock up on shoestring throws. And got to be a yellow card coming, said Studs Raise. Yeah, the numbers in terms of the penalties against the Crusaders have definitely increased. Now, I'm back to the right-hand side, jumping over a Matosero, and that is the bonus point for the Crusaders, now cancelled. I'm quickly rattling through the back line while I still think of it. Depends on your tactics, really, because you could go like a little bit more conservative. I think you want 2 players from the same country, though, so you maybe, you could mix it up. I think you could go Roygaard and Sasha Feinberg, Ngume Zulu. That would be a cool combo in terms of the young guys. And then just sneaking through. Dialendi Creole, I'd keep as the midfield combo. You could go, it's hard, isn't it? There's so many good players. I just realised we're supposed to count Argentina too, aren't we? In the Southern Wild Lions or Wild Dogs, or whatever it was. Now, Reds are not closer. Sydney for me is 8 hours, 55-minute drive. Queensland for the Reds is 17 hours, 54 minutes. Do you normally drive it, or do you get a flight? Because surely you gotta fly that if you go into a Reds game, wouldn't you? Rather than driving that 18 hours, that's a brutal drive, that's for sure. Knocked on by the Waratahs. They're only 10 points down as well, ladies and gents. We should mention. They're only sitting 26 minutes remaining. Okay. Jake Gordon just getting a little bit of a stern warning there from the referee, pretty much saying, look, I've made the decision, get over it. You see the knock on from Langy Gleeson, I should say. Fly can't drive just yet. Need to do the test here, Xavier. So if they somehow end up with a home game for the playoffs, I'd assume you're on the first flight you can. Gleeson starting 8. For the Wallabies, he has to be. Honestly, at the moment, if you're picking between him and Wilson, I think a lot of people would go Gleeson in that spot. The other 2 in the loose forward trio, the question is, do you go Tizano or do you go Fraser McWright? And I think for the experience, you go with McWright, but Carlo Tizano could certainly be an impact player with what he's done for the Western Force. 25 minutes left. Looking dodgy for the Crusaders. Time for O'Connor to steady the ship. Nice wide cutout pass. Going to Reese, but it's forward. In fact, it was to Fiaki. He thinks Gordon is Nick White, says Annoy. You think that's why Paul Williams was having a bit of a back and forth with him? They're saying there that it might have been all right. The commentator's now laughing about it. That's actually not a bad pass. Pete Samu at 8, he signed with the Tars. Has been so good in France. Could you look at him as the 6, mate? Who else is your 6 at the moment for Aussie? Trying to think through. All I can think of is Rob Leota, but I feel like even though he's had a decent season, they may look at someone else. Who is the red 6 at the moment? I've gone completely blank in terms of 6 options for the Aussies. Tom Hooper, he's been going all right, but I don't know whether they go for him as the 6. Rob oh yeah, of course. Valentini. I'd like Samu off the bench because he can play all 3, can't he? So that would actually be quite handy to have a guy like that. Samu can replace Leota if injured. Says Hanoi. I guess Leota's also versatile though. He can play in the locks, worst comes to worst, can't he? So some decent options there. Going to be another scrum now. Siruru, another strong player. He's also a guy that can slot into lock if needed. I guess that helps you with your 5-3 split rather than a 6-2, having that extra back option. Jake Gordon to put the ball in. Currently 25 metres out from their line at the moment. The Waratahs, they've started a bit of a comeback here. I know that earlier on we mentioned how it was 31 points to 7. But now, like, the Crusaders are butchering this if they're not careful. Another knock on from Noah Hotham. And I'll go back now for the scrum. McWright first 60. Tizano last 20 is what I would do. A fresh Tizano for the last 20 is dangerous, isn't he? I want to be number 1 chat XP guy, says Shane. He's actually got a YouTube channel as well, Carlo Tizano. So anyone who likes a little bit of the behind the scenes that goes into rugby and whatnot, be worth giving him a look. And the awkward bounce of the ball at the moment is making it very difficult. Those little chips in behind from the Waratahs. The Crusaders just don't seem to be able to quite clean them up. Showing there Rob Penny looking down at a monitor that then has a Rob Penny in the background and another Rob Penny watching Rob Penny due to the mirroring effect of the camera. Another scrum. This is where the Waratahs haven't been going too badly throughout this game. I said that I thought the Crusaders would go all right at scrum time, but they haven't really fired. Maybe that's because they don't have Fletcher Null in that tight head prop role. And so I'm going to run on for Oz. He's on fire. Says Studs Race. And give it here, says Shane, for the number 1 XP. And champion to Chris Pigney. Force is okay too. How's the game going, mate? Waratahs have had a much better second half. They've got 14 unanswered points here up against the Crusaders. Knocked on by Joey Walton. Breaking the line again for Raves Rayhana. Has Reese with him. This should be a breakaway try. They will not catch him. And the Crusaders get their bonus point for now back. And has Rugby 25 gotten any better, considering it, says Xavier? I would say, like, I'd still hold off a little bit in terms of, like, for me, I went from playing it for those Hurricanes career mode episodes. Like, I've only played it a couple times since just to try it out. And there's still a lot of game-breaking glitches in it. But I'm hoping they fix it soon, because, like, if they get it right, I feel like they'll be able to try and build towards, like, at least enticing people back in. But for now, it seems to be each week they try and fix something and it just goes that little bit more wrong. Have you played any AFL, Xavier Brown, as in the AFL game that came out? And is it any good? So I've been looking at it, and I know that it was released recently, and big no for on 2025 for me, says Enzo. How's the crowd down there in Tarsland? Is it a sellout? It's not a sellout, but it doesn't look too bad. As Ray Hunter the starter tonight, he's looked really strong in that 10 jersey, which is perfect because, you know, they lost Taha Kamara due to injury. He is now tied for the leading try scorers of all time, Severis, with 65 alongside TJ Perenata. They weren't quite able to catch him. Andrew Callaway tried to cut him off and did not quite happen. I want it. The Precious, says Shane. And it sucks. My lad got AFL just like the game itself, says Ash. So it's not a good game at the moment. Because they're also bringing out Rugby League Live 5, aren't they, at some point? Oh, what happened to my crown, says Studs Rays. I think, I don't know how the crowns work at the moment, but there's like a top 50 in terms of people who have got points, or XP as they've called it. But that's the other thing, like, Xavier donated. So does he get some sort of, like, big, like bonus community points for donating? Surely that would give him something decent, wouldn't it? In terms of the XP leaderboard, but it doesn't have him anywhere on it, which I think makes no... Oh, no, there he is on 75 XP, but, like, yeah, it's kind of weird. Like how the XP... Oh, nice run from Walton. Passes it away to the right-hand side. Tristan Riley's going to get close here. I think about 10 metres out. What time is the Blues game tomorrow? They are playing at 7:05 at North Harbour Stadium up against Moana Pacifica. Your top dog now, Drape. I stick to Red Dead Redemption 2, says Ash. And good luck, Waratahs, says Bradley, but that penalty will be won by the Crusaders. No clear release. I'm in the breakdown. Langy Gleeson just losing his footing a little bit, which did stop him from being able to get over that ball. The AFL games are apparently good for AFL 26. After AFL 23 was woeful, we haven't played Big Ant AFL game. Only played Wicked Witch AFL games during COVID. Oh, see, I didn't realise that the ones who brought out the new AFL one, like the Big Ant side of things, I didn't realise that they didn't do the old ones. I thought that it was the same company. So, yeah, hopefully it is a little bit smoother than Rugby 25. It looks like Hotham's going to be taken off the field with 18 minutes remaining. Preston makes his way on. Score update still showing. So currently 38-21. And the bonus point is in play for the Crusaders just as we currently sit. Now Bell, ready to throw this one in. How do you get on the leaderboard? You'll need to collect experience points or XP. Here's how to get them. Send live chat messages, send super chats and super stickers, says Kano. Yeah, I do think it must be like slightly broken in terms of seeing as they must have just brought it in this week. Because like I said, I would think that Xavier doing a donation like he did, like surely that's worth like 1,000 XP, isn't it? Rather than like the 25 that you get for putting a chat message in. Rolling this one back, Kyle Preston. Ready to go for the box kick down towards the halfway line. That is a great take from Tane Edmund, who's driven backwards in the tackle by George Bauer. Back to two Georges in terms of the replacement front rowers. George Bauer, George Bell. Two for the Crusaders. Now passed out wide. And he thought it's going to be Henry O'Donnell. I think that's the first time we've said that man's name. As I see you brought your respect, says Shane. And the problem with Big Ant, they are trying to make an AFL, Rugby League, Cricket and Rugby Union game. They just need to focus on one. They can make a lot with a good Rugby Union game and a cricket game, not four. Yeah, that's true. I guess they're like, yeah, the mindset must be if they've got a game coming out in all of these markets where there aren't games available, then they will get the market. But the problem is if you put out a game that isn't up to par, you're not going to get the market. You're going to destroy that market and kind of make them go against you. So, like, it's the same with Rugby 25. They've gone from the first time that they were posting, like, updates on Facebook, they get 1,000 comments of people saying this game's not great. Now they're getting, like, 40 people commenting saying this game's not great. But the game's still not great. But the difference is people have given up on trying to get it fixed. Whereas at the start, they were giving all these little pointers of, you know, maybe you can adjust this or do something with this. And that was, like, yeah, something that they never really did. Well, yeah, it's definitely a weird system. Hopefully you can find out if you can turn it off. That's what you're wanting, says Kano. Yeah, or at least, hopefully, like, points are done the way that they should be. But yeah, I assume it's just an experimental thing. Like, I couldn't find anything about it on the YouTube studio when I looked in between. There's another knock on from the Crusaders. So this will be another scrum fee for the Waratahs, about 20 metres out from their own line. Gamification of everything, says Ash. But now, they are just showing the live standings. The way that it sits with that bonus point, the Crusaders would be in first place in the overall standings, with a total of 42 points. Chiefs in second on 41. Manmo Sports Gaming across the board. They've had bad reviews around. Seems like they're only working on FIFA. And even FIFA gets a lot of bad rap, don't they? It's just that they've got enough people who actually enjoy the game to keep on going, I guess you could say. Like, there's still a lot of bad reviews of FIFA, but like more positive than negative, it seems. I'm trying to find out how to get more XP. I might have found a way, but I guess we'll see soon, says Kano. I'm coming for your number one, says Shane. But yeah, it seems to cap out at about 175 XP. Oh no, Drape's up to 225. So why does Drape get so much compared to everyone else? Is it like you have to comment maybe once every 5 minutes? Or I don't know. I'm just guessing at this point. Kick downfield. Nicely taken by Reves Rehana. They should have made a massive promotion land. Got people like you and other to promote it. Like get Max Brown and the other, the rugby guy on for early access game and actually make it good first and get hype. And not just release it randomly, which actually get people hyped and want to buy it. Because I think they did something with Squidge right at the start, didn't they? Like they added his face into the game. That was it. Like that was all we saw in terms of the promotion. But I think they had to release it when they did so that they avoided losing licenses and whatnot. But still, like, you know, a couple weeks of some sort of build-up. That one's going to go dead for the Crusaders. A bit too much oomph on that for Reves Rehana. I don't like this game. Say to bite donkey butt, says Novmum. Yeah, like there's many things that they could have done differently with the release. But then maybe deep down they knew that it wasn't that good of a game anyway. So they kind of possibly tried to sneak it in without people getting annoyed. But like not having a few of the licensed teams from the very get-go was probably a downfall as well. Now, ready for this line out. The Waratahs will be about 40 metres out from the Crusaders line. This game, just in the last about 10 minutes, has been mistake, scrum. Mistake, scrum. But hopefully, last 10 minutes of the game, we're going to have a little bit more cohesion, bit of rhythm going. Now, about to put this ball in. It will be the replacement, Teddy Wilson. And also Bowen's onto the field. That is for Tane Edmed. So actually making a change at 9 and 10 here for the Waratahs. That was a bit of a shocking moment for Teddy Wilson. But luckily for him, he hung on to it when he tried to take the quick tap and slipped. Crusaders need more fitness. This young team need to see how Richie, Sir, and Dan used to play. Says Douglas. It's going to be another advantage. As for off feet against Corey Kello, they're just starting to collect penalties. Yeah, the Crusaders are tough conditions. Both teams have strong set piece. And I just can't wait for the day rugby get a game where packing players like Artie Savia makes you go mental like packing Messi on FIFA does. Yeah, see, I also hope, though, that they don't add too much, like, of one of, like, paying. But then, like, that's the thing. If they actually added that system to Rugby 25, the microtransactions is where a lot of companies make their money. So, like, there would be people who spend hundreds of dollars on packs if they had them. But Rugby 25, that's something they decided, well, they were supposed to have it, I think, and then they probably just ran out of time. But, you know, they'll probably get a bit of money if they tried it. Crusaders all the way, says Abraham. Vailanu throwing that one in. Crusaders in trouble of losing their bonus point again here. Trying to see if I write a long message, it'll go up. But at the moment, it's not working every time I do write a long message, says Kano. Yeah, I have no idea how it works. I think it's about the way you move, says Drape. Now, another pick and go. That's going to be another penalty advantage. That's the second one in a row against Corey Kello. That man's going to get himself a yellow card if he is not careful. Just shake your booty, says Ash. Now backline. Nope, decides to run it himself, but Jack Bowen. Only 10 metres out, still under penalty advantage here for the Waratahs. Taniela Tupou over the ball again for Kello, can't get it. Oh, now I have 125 XP, says Novmum. Now 10 minutes left. Waratahs down by the 17. Crusaders, they do still have that bonus point. The Tars are on the verge of getting themselves another try and also on the verge of having a yellow card against the Crusaders. Bowen tries to go through. Smash 5 metres out from the line. Pick and go there from Hugh Sinclair. Had a bit of a fumble. And we're going back. Referee probably heavily considering the pocket now. Right, Dave, just an official warning is the comment from Paul Williams there. Right, next one will go to the bin. They're probably lucky it's taken 70 minutes to hear that from the referee, as every time the Waratahs have got in the 22, the Crusaders just get themselves offside. Really happy with the Crusaders' defence. Stars have been tough at home all season. Says Studs Race. You max your credit card, Drape. Averages loaded now. I'm the real number one. Says Shane and Big A have spent more than all the rugby league games previously on the new NRL game. Like, why spend so much on league when Union is a bigger market, says Xavier. I think in the nicest way possible, because they've made rugby league games before and they have like a bit of a base, I feel like it's slightly easier for them to adjust. Like rugby union nowadays, it's just far too many rules for a game to be able to apparently handle it. It's not offside, it's pushing the limits. No, it's offside, and they've had their last warning now. But, yeah, they have to be careful. I think it's the best way of describing it. Ready to put the ball in again here for the Waratahs. Big scrum again. Ball is available, though. They'll go short side. Teddy Wilson, tackled by Corey Kello. He's offside again. He has to get off the field. That's like his fourth penalty against him. And the Waratahs will score in the corner for Darby Lancaster. It's definitely a weird system now. I'm just writing a ton. I don't normally talk this much. Might be because I'm behind a computer screen, says Kano. Darby Lancaster, fantastic finish in the corner. That once again takes away the bonus point of the Crusaders, and it should take away one of their players off the field. Corey Kello, just repeat infringements. I think he's given away more penalties than he's made tackles at the moment in this game. I'm going to see the replay of the finish from Darby Lancaster, and it might have only been a finger on it. The commentator said that is so good, but I think if we watch that in slow motion, that might be just... it's gonna be a tough one. I have no idea how a rugby union computer game doesn't say hang on. The laws aren't consistent, says Studs Race. Right, looks like it might be just a fingertip on it. And sorry, Hamish, I missed part of the play a few minutes back with the forward pass. That wasn't a forward pass. What happened here? It wasn't a forward pass. I think it's the short answer. It looked like it was fine. Oh, no, he might lose that ball. There's half a phase or half a little frame that might show separation of Darby Lancaster's middle finger, which is exactly what he's going to give the ref if he doesn't give him this try, because it was a very impressive finish. They're saying they think he'll be rewarded for this. Is he in control of it the whole time? They're showing the replay again here. I think they're going to try and say it's not a try here. They're looking for a clear... it's like it's fingertips on it. Just give him the try and move on. But if it's anything like the one we saw earlier for Langy Gleeson that was disallowed, it's probably going to be no try. But I hope it's a try. I feel like they deserve that one. Meanwhile, Corey Kello's hiding because he knows he's probably going to the bin if it's no try. Okay, no clear and obvious knock-on, so the on-field decision of try will stand. I'm trying to change the rules for the Crusaders again, I see, says Kano. But the thing is, because that try was awarded, they've forgotten about the last warning and then the extra advantage that was given. So the Crusaders will survive without a yellow card. Like AFL, you get a point for trying, says Ash. Okay, so it's a try this week, says Studs Race. Well, to be fair, they had that one earlier on at Gleeson that was ruled out. So they had to give them at least one of those two because they were probably both tries, to be fair. But now the kick from the sideline. Boom, what a strike that is. Straight down the middle of the sticks. 10-point game again. Just give me the precious. Says Shane, and Crusaders should be down to 13 at this point. Brilliant conversion. Yeah, almost kicked it like an NRL style of kicker there. Hope True Blue make the next rugby game or Rugby Challenge 4. They had so much potential, it's heartbreaking that they stopped. I think the reason they had to stop, though, was because of the licenses getting purchased. So, like, they released Rugby Challenge 4 again with no licenses. But like, if you have a decent fan hub where people can make the kits, like, you'd be surprised how much people just want a good gameplay kind of game. Like, you can add the players in with the community, but all you need is a good, solid gameplay, and it can go miles. But, yeah, they won't be able to get any of the licenses, sadly. Maybe the Japanese top league, but I'd assume if Big Ant didn't get it, there's probably a reason for that. It's going to be another penalty. This time, it is going to be the penalty to the Crusaders. So, once again, we'll have the chance to add the extra 2. Still another 6 minutes remaining in this contest. Playing the scrum half. Penalty going against Vailanu. They've just said they're off the resets at the moment is where the Waratahs have found themselves struggling quite a bit. Diving through the ruck is by the sounds of the penalty. And Tars Cynical is held there. A yellow to turn to them would be funny. Says Studs raise and go the Tars. Interesting. This is a really weird choice for the Crusaders. Chiefs fans will look at this and go, absolutely brilliant choice, Crusaders. But the Crusaders are going for the 3 points here. They've decided that, like, if they get the bonus point for another try, they get it. But they want to try and extend it so that the Waratahs need 2 converted tries. I don't understand this one bit. Like, you're in a position where this was for a chance to be top of the table. And they've gone, we're okay with just taking the 3. Maybe it's to try and break it up and use up a bit more time. But I fully disagree with that choice. You kick for the corner or you go for the scrum and you get the bonus point back. Worst comes to worst, you're still ahead by 10. And Crusaders need to force a penalty to close the game. Well, they just took the 3. You'd have to assume that they feel like they can still score again in the last 5 minutes since the fancy Studs race. Crusaders are struggling, says Kano. So, yeah, maybe they just went, look, we need to get some form of points because we're hardly scoring in the second half. Going up for it, Callaway has knocked that ball on. Crusaders back in possession. What's Preston doing there? He's kicked the ball backwards and into touch. They'll go back for the scrum. Do the Highlanders still have a chance for playoff contention? Not really. They needed that win up against the Hurricanes, which they were extremely close to getting and sadly just narrowly ended up missing out. Good on you, Crusaders. Don't like yous, but cheers for that, says Mr. All-In. And also, Scott Barrett, Abbey's captain, not my captain, says Kano. Well, he's not playing in this game. They had Quinton Strange and Shell Foon for this one. But yeah, he seems to be the one that a lot of people wouldn't select as skipper. Good on you, Crusaders. Don't like yous, but cheers for that. Says Mr. All-In. Now, currently 4 scrums remaining. Waratahs have won all of their scrums. Crusaders have only won 3 out of the 4 that they've attempted. Imagine a GTA 6 budget rugby game. I wouldn't leave my couch for weeks, generally weeks. Like, just imagine how good that would be. Or imagine, like, in terms of if they had that budget, you could have, you know how they've got in NBA, how it's like wide open and you can walk around an area and whatnot. Imagine that for a rugby game, how like you drive to training and you do all that nice run from Severies, kicks it on the inside, sits up for Tom Christie. He'll score 2 tries in 2 weeks. They'll just possibly check to make sure that he's onside, but he is fired up. That's a good kick from Severies. Get in there, boys. Says Studs race. They're winning without him. That's even worse, says Kano. And it's RB me. I'm pretty so pretty, says Trey. A Miracle Fire Lungy is an All Blacks bolter, says Tane. I think he's already capped for Samoa, isn't he? I think he capped or played for them last year, if I'm correct. Yeah, beautiful kick from Severies. Curves it on the inside of Tom Christie. And that is now, once again, that bonus point back for the Crusaders. But they still have to hang on for that little bit longer. Though they will use up as many seconds as they can off the clock. With this kick, good Crusaders, we got the win, says Abraham. Yep, the win is secured. It's just the question of whether or not the bonus point is 2. 2.5 minutes remaining. It's currently 48 points to 28. Has Caleb Clark ever considered playing for Moana Pacifica? I don't really know. I think that Artie Savia has kind of opened the door for a few of those other guys to maybe consider that switch. And Xavier Ramway is stuck with Rugby Nations on the phone for another year, sadly, says Lucas. Miracle has to sit out until 2026, says Studs Rays, which is going to be hard to do. Numia's an All Blacks bolter. He's been pretty decent. I think if they were to pick between him and Norris, though, they might sneakily go with Ollie Norris, although I do agree that Numia has been in some pretty strong form. I think last year he was even better than he was this year, though. Caleb would be mean if he did. Would help him out a bit. Now, claimed by the Waratahs. You back in for the Lions series. I just hope it's 2-1. You know, like, if we get a 3-0 sweep against Australia, I feel like that will really hurt the Aussies in terms of their rugby. But, bit of obstruction there between Tene Tupou and one of his teammates, but luckily no Crusaders involved, so it's going to be play on. Langy Gleeson, again, another attacking run at the line. Next live stream we have got, ladies and gents, will be starting in about 5.5 hours' time. Will be the matchup taking place between the Stormers and Cardiff. So be sure to check that one out. 5 a.m. start time. Cross kick. Waratahs score it again. And that will ruin the Crusaders bonus point once more. They've got 40 seconds left. And it seems like the Waratahs, if they get this kick over, they actually still have the chance of getting within 7. And you wonder whether or not they'd go for that or whether they'd be just happy enough to take away that Crusaders bonus. Yes, bonus point taken away. Thank you, Tars. And bonus point gone. A sharp try from the Tars. Yeah, beautiful cross kick. Straight in the hands of Tristan Riley. Got 15 seconds remaining here. And the Tars take the strike. So it means we got one more play in this contest. Hits the post and bounces back out. Which means that the Waratahs cannot get within 7. But the Crusaders can still once again get this bonus point. But they seem like they don't want it because they've given it away about 4 times in this contest. This has been a brilliant second half from the Waratahs. There's no denying that. 26 points they've managed to score for themselves compared to the Crusaders' 15. Now taken by the Waratahs. Here comes Andrew Callaway. Tars trying to increase their points differential by the looks of it. And the Crusaders still want their bonus points. Reese has dropped the ball, and that's going to be the end of the game. Full time, a 15-point win for the Crusaders, but they do not receive the bonus, which means the Chiefs remain at the top of the table. 48 points to 33. Need the Brumbies to lose now, says Kano, and Chandler Cunningham himself. Should have been in the Lions, says Tane. Although he still could be because of the reshuffling that we could see due to injuries. Like, we've still got a few more games left for those guys who have made it to the squad. So, yeah, I think that they've got to be very careful not to end up with any more injuries. Looks like George Bower and Tene Tupou just having a bit of a chat about the scrums. Jeez on top, baby, says Kano. And don't do that, Hamish, says Ash. And also we've got their 2 early tries, the difference, says Studs Rays. And there as well. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. Like I mentioned, we will be back in the near future. And that is going to be for the contest taking place between the Stormers and Cardiff. And man, good fight back from the Tars. Yes, for the commentary, Hamish says, Mr. Orlando, or is it all? Thank you all very much for being there. A massive shout out to Xavier as well for his generosity earlier on the stream. It was very greatly appreciated. Not a classic, but very happy with my Crusaders. And it's okay, Crusaders, says Cara. And there as well. But nonetheless, thank you all very much for tuning in. And I will see you all in about 5.5 hours' time.